All right, so it's 5:30 and we are live, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the first official meeting for the Historic District Commission for 2024. Since we do have 3 new members, we're going to go over some rules of how the meeting is ran. First off, we're going to start with roll call. So we'll go around the room and just say your name. So I'm Emily Walter. I'm the chair of the Historic District Commission.
I'm Liz Hamilton. I'm the vice chair.
I'm Jenny Davis. I'm the secretary.
I'm Marianne Black. I'm one of the commissioners.
Nathaniel Johnson, I'm one of the commissioners also.
Corey Parks, one of the commissioners.
Josh Hamilton, another commissioner.
I'm Tara Jackson. I'm planning staff.
Okay, so we have an agenda that was set out today, and what we'll do with each item, it'll be announced by myself, the chair. We'll have a presentation of the staff report, and then we'll ask our applicant to come up, and they'll have 10 minutes to speak. We've brought in a clock for this year, so we're going to have a 10-minute timer set, and then from there, we're going to have any more interested parties that are going to speak for it, like in favor for it, and then we'll have parties to speak against it. And then once all that's closed out, then we'll have general discussion between the commissioners. So each person that comes up to the podium, you're supposed to state your name and your address on the project that you're speaking for. If there's any part of this agenda that conflicts with one of us, we'll have to recuse ourselves from it. For instance, there's 2 tonight that I'm involved in, so I'm not allowed to vote or be a part of the discussion, and I will have to actually leave the room. And so when that happens, Liz will take over. And then the same thing will happen with Liz. However, one item, Liz and I are both have different relationships on this one party. So who would run that? Would Jenny then?
Yeah, be Jenny.
Step in. Jenny's just now finding this out. So with that said, we are going to go ahead and get started with item number 1 on our agenda. And the first up, as I scroll through it. Emily, we need 2 minutes. Oh, thank you. Just kidding. First of all, we'll do minutes. So we need
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Okay, so we need an approval of the December 19th, 2023 motion, minutes. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
So I'm not voting because I wasn't
Here.
here.
Okay.
For that. I wasn't.
Okay,
part of the
perfect. Thank you.
process. So just to clarify.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, on our public hearing items, we're going to start with the Robinson Historic District. 1506 Prince Street is a residential remodel. So who's here to speak in favor? Brian Strandland. I'll let you come up to the podium, and I will allow myself to go to the kitchen.
Where we're going?
Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to have Tara's take over.
Okay.
And then y'all just come get me.
And then, hey, Lauren, we'll have to let her into the kitchen. Or you can go outside, whatever you prefer.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
That's a bathroom. You don't wanna go there.
Works out perfect.
Hopefully soon we'll be back in council chambers. And
You're welcome to.
thank you, Lauren. All right, so this project is for 1506 Prince Street. It is in an R2A Robinson Historic District. The application is the result of a stop work order. The applicant has initiated the following: replacing windows, a door, and some siding, adding 1 window, replacing window and door trim with pine board, adding posts to front porch and back of house, replacing boards on front porch. In the 2020 survey of the Robinson Historic District, the following note was made: that it is not a non-contributing structure and it has vinyl siding, does not appear cared for. The rear shed porch roof was added since the 1998 survey. Let's see. The applicant proposes to remove the door on the front porch and install vinyl siding in its place. And considering that it already had the fact that it already had vinyl siding was taken into consideration when in the regulations it does say that if you are going to use vinyl siding, if that's what already was in place, then that is appropriate. It includes wood posts and doors, which are compatible. The applicant is proposing white vinyl single hung windows with 1x6 primed pine board. The window type was not noted in the 2020 survey, so I cannot confirm whether it was original windows. I will just point out that sometimes that is written in whether something is original windows or not in the surveys. They are proposing a new window on the west side elevation. The door being filled in does not appear to be original. It does not appear that any trees will be impacted, and no new lighting has been indicated on the plans. Staff's recommendations are that the staff recommends approval of the application with the following conditions: obtaining applicable building permits and showing licensure of the professionals. Any HVAC unit shall be screened from public right-of-way through its positioning in relation to other structures or through vegetative cover. Vinyl siding is allowed. Other appropriate siding includes brick, wood, or wood-like material such as hardy or smart side. Windows must be true divided light. Fake muntin bars are prohibited. Window and door trims shall be wide, flat, and composed of wood. And any lighting shall be inward, downward, and shrouded to stay within the bounds of the property. And that concludes the presentation.
Okay. You wanna?
Yeah. My name is Brian Strandland. I live at 3035 Crawford Loop here in Conway. And this is a property that actually my dad bought from First State Bank when it was right down the street down here. So a long time ago. And we've had this house for decades. And in fact, the one on the right-hand side, it used to be a house that a long time ago, from what I understand. When my dad bought it, it was a duplex. And what I'm trying to do is take it back to a house. I'm taking it from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house to a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. All new kitchen, laundry room. As you see on the pictures up there on the right, the one in the middle with the flag, I've already replaced those windows. That's what I'm wanting it to look like when I get through with it. As you can see on the one at the bottom left, you can see what it looks like right now. I've hated that for as long as we've had this, but I can't do one side and not do the other. The guy on the right-hand side has lived there for more than 30 years. He's now moved to Missouri to take care of his dad who's ailing. So since he's out, the other guy out, perfect time to go ahead and get that done. So that's why I started working on it, to do that.
Do you have any questions on the recommendations?
I have none.
Is there anybody, tell me if I'm doing this wrong. My first time to step in as the chairman. So if there's no one else to speak in favor of the project, then we'll entertain anyone who wants to speak in opposition of the project. And if there's no other discussion, then we'll just bring it back to the commissioners. So I appreciate the time and the effort that you're putting on to the project to fix it and to bring it up to code. I like the wider trim, like you're saying, that was on the right-hand side.
You know, on that west side, it shows a picture of where the new window's going to be. That's where the original bathroom was. And for some reason, when that siding was put on, I have no idea how long that's been on there, to be honest with you. But I can walk up there and show you. It's on that bottom left. It's between those two windows.
Okay.
There. That's where I'm putting that in. There was originally a window there. It's been covered up for, like I said, I don't know how long.
Right.
I want to put a window back in that bathroom. So that's what I'm going to do. That's where I'm adding one right there.
Okay.
And just to make it look better.
That's fair. Do we have any indication of how old it is? Did I miss that in the report? Do you know when it was built?
No idea, to be honest with you.
I apologize. I neglected to put that in. I can find
That's
out.
okay. Just out of curiosity.
I know that we've owned it for more than 40 years. So I know it's a long time before that. So
Is there any discussion from the commissioners? Any questions?
I did have a question. Tara, is there any kind of a requirement for a tree, even though he's not taking out any trees?
Not because it's just a remodel, no.
Okay.
If there was additions or new construction, I
It
think
would
there
be.
might be a nexus.
And in
It'd just
fact,
be nice.
I know, I agree. And in fact, before the new sidewalk was put in, there was a gigantic sycamore tree there. And when the city came in and put the sidewalk in, they took that tree out, so.
I move, oh, go ahead, Mary Ann.
Do you have overhead Conway Court power?
It goes in through the back of the house.
So you could do something in the front. You could do a tree in the front, maybe, if you wanted to, not required. Not something we're gonna ask you to do, but
Right.
I move that we accept the staff recommendations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank
So
you.
passed.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Way back.
That's right.
Let's see, what is this one? Yes.
Musical chairs.
Good job.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Hope I can
Thank you. You can stand with me.
Okay, next up is 1904 Robinson Avenue. Is there anybody here to speak for that? Okay, you'll state your name and your,
Daniel Larry, 2115 Spring Valley Drive, Conway. I'm the applicant.
okay, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Nope.
You'll go ahead and sit back down, yeah.
All right, so yeah, this project is 1904 Robinson. It is an R2A, two-family residential, Robinson Historic District. The applicant proposes to extend the existing porch roof. Currently, this porch on the southeast, on the front elevation, is uncovered and it is adjacent to a covered porch. So the applicant wishes to extend the roof of the front porch to cover the side porch, which also serves as a balcony for the second story. The addition will include wood railing, wood beam, and extension of the brick wrapped column, all to match existing. And the existing structure is non-contributing.
Really?
I know.
I
was surprised
really
by that as well.
Trust, I was just, we all talked about it. We're all surprised by that.
This is a cool house. Does it say why? Has it been altered too much?
I don't know. I didn't look into that.
Maybe the garage.
It looks like this side right here has been altered, added on to. Yeah.
So it says in two-story front garage addition and transom windows over garage door, second floor balcony rail, sunroom, sleeping porch. On side has decorative stucco, timber. It's not saying why.
Okay.
Sure. Anyway, moving right along.
But so the one thing is that, or not the one thing, but I did want to point out that this extension of the porch will somewhat obstruct the decorative stucco and half timber with circular pattern. All other character defining features on the building will be retained. The trellis will be removed. The windows on the residence currently obscured by the trellis will now be visible. It seems to balance out. It doesn't, although it is an addition on the front facade, it does not overwhelm the existing single-family residence in staff's opinion. No windows or doors are proposed. As I mentioned, that 2 windows and 1 door will now be more visible. They appear to be in conformance with district guidelines. It does not appear any significant trees will be impacted. A sidewalk exists. If damaged during construction, it will need to be repaired. Does not seem that it will significantly impact the character in the facade. And no lighting has been indicated. And staff recommends approval of this project with the following conditions: that applicable building permits are obtained with proof of appropriate licensure. The material shall match those proposed and approved through this review as shown on the attached site plan and elevations. Any window replacement or installation requires review by the HDC. If the existing sidewalk is damaged during construction, it must be repaired. Lighting shall be inward, downward, and shrouded to stay within the bounds of the property.
Thank you. All right, do you want to come back up to the podium? Do you need his name and address again, Jenny?
I got it.
Okay.
I copied and pasted it.
Basically, we're just wanting to extend that porch, obviously we are talking about, just to have more covered area outside. So right now, their backyard, they have a big area they can go if they don't want to be in cover. So,
Do you have any questions on the recommendations? Okay. Do you have any more questions for us? Is anybody else here to speak in favor? Anybody here to speak against? All right, commission, any conversation? All right,
I do think it's a bummer we're not gonna be able to see the circle things, but
Yeah.
again, if it's non-contributing, then I don't know if that's really something to go by. Just because I think it's a nice decorative
It's a cool
element.
feature. You'll see it on the sides still.
you'll still be able to kind of see it from the side, because once that comes out, that roof's not going to go all the way back to where those symbols that you see. So that'll still be seen from the side a little bit. Angle.
I recommend that the commission accept the staff, I motion that the commission accept the staff recommendations.
Second.
well, any other discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is 1828 Mill Street. Kara, take it away.
All right. Good job, boy. All right, so now we are in the old Conway Design Overlay District, the suburban district. The application is proposing to construct a new single-family residence with a front porch and covered carport. Also proposed is a concrete driveway and concrete pad. This is an infill development. The style of the proposed residence is reflective of a particular type, but will be in harmony with minimalist traditional homes in the area. The applicant is proposing an appropriate setback, front setback of 25 feet, side yard setbacks of 6 and 10, rear setbacks of approximately 25 feet. No outbuildings are proposed. It conforms to spacing, lot coverage, orientation. There's no garages or outbuildings. As mentioned, the applicant is proposing a carport. There's no alley. There will be a driveway off of Mill Street. There is an existing sidewalk in disrepair. The applicant will need to restore it as a condition of approval. The restored sidewalk can maintain the existing width, both of the sidewalk and the green space, so it's not up to current standards, but our regulations do specify that you can maintain an existing sidewalk network. No fencing is proposed. It does not appear any significant trees will be impacted. Applicant is proposing to plant one understory tree. It's compatible in massing, so the scale is compatible. The height, width, and directional expression is compatible with the neighborhood, as well as the footprint. It isn't very complex in form, however, that is in harmony with the neighborhood, which is a lot of just very minimalist traditional structures. All elevations do contain windows. However, the front elevation, it is staff's opinion that needs an additional window, especially if it's going to meet the 25 to 40% of front facades should contain windows for the regulations. The style is in conformance. The front porch, as I mentioned, we need another window, but everything else is in conformance. Lighting is proposed on porches and the front elevation. The applicant is proposing fiber cement siding with a front facade composed partly of brick veneer as well as a brick veneer skirt. And no HVAC equipment is shown on the site plan. Staff recommends approval of the project with the following conditions: obtaining applicable building permits with appropriate licensure. Prior to issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, applicant shall submit to the planning department for review and approval elevations showing one additional window on the front elevation for a total of 3 windows. 1 tree from the OCD/OD approved tree list shall be planted. If beneath the power line, shall be understory, and if away, be a canopy. Windows shall be at least 1/1, not fixed. If muntin bars are used, they must be true divided lights. Driveway shall be concrete pavers or permeable paving, with the apron on Mill Street being between 8 and 12 feet wide. The existing sidewalk and driveway apron will need to be repaired. The width of the sidewalk and green space may remain the same to be in harmony with the existing network. Lighting shall be downward and inward toward the property, and HVAC equipment shall be screened from public view.
Okay, who's here to speak in favor?
Nikki Thompson, 2759 Carl Stewart.
Okay.
And I want to apologize. Today I was studying this and I realized that the driveway is on the wrong side.
Mhm.
So when I apply for permitting, it will be, the site plan will be correct, but I do want to come in from the other side. So I do apologize for
Is
not
that the east
catching that.
side, the west side, which?
The right side, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you'll have more time to turn in versus,
Because there's an existing house.
yes,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
yes.
And
And
that's
there's
an
a
empty
blank lot right
lot.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes more sense.
I know. I thank you. The other thing I just saw that I'm not loving, but I'm so sorry if you want me to do it, I will, but I don't love the brick skirt on the bottom. I'm gonna probably brick the whole thing. So, I don't like that the front facade is brick and then it drops down on the side. So I'm gonna go ahead and carry that around, and I apologize that I'm just now noticing that.
So you're gonna break the entire house?
Yes.
Or just the front? Okay.
I'd rather, I might do hardy under the porch, but everything else will be brick.
And what about the window, the comment with the window?
Yes, so the third window, I'd like to do a little window by the front door.
Okay, over here or there?
By the door, yes, right there.
Like a side light or like little?
Not a side light, I assumed y'all wanted a full window, so just a 20 by 36.
Okay.
So you're saying here or?
Yes,
here?
ma'am, yes, over by the door.
What room is,
That's the living room. And I'm thinking, there's, new construction makes me nervous because I like to see everything and play with scale. So I do feel like I'll scoot that window over, not to center, but not quite so far over there.
That'll look better.
Yeah.
I don't hate it as it is.
Okay.
Like, I think
mean,
it's
like,
cool.
even-
And I think it is new construction in Old Conway. And so this is my little soapbox that I'll just jump on and jump
Let's
right
hear
back
it.
off. So once upon a time, I worked for a firm in Little Rock and we tried to do a lot of new construction in Old Little Rock. And it was quite difficult to get those kind of projects approved. And it was all very high modern design type stuff. And it was difficult. But I think at that point in time, we were trying to rehabilitate an area of town that had been decimated by a tornado. And so their infill projects were difficult. And if we had an investor who was wanting to spend money somewhere on an infill lot, then I felt as a young budding architect right out of school that we should do everything we can to help the development, help flourish the neighborhood. So the fact that the window is slightly off center actually has some precedence in one of these other images, which I dig. So this is kind of a little bit off center and not exactly very traditional in the historic sense, but I dig it. And I think there's precedence in the neighborhood to really kind of lean into a little bit more of a modern feel.
Thank you,
Now,
Liz.
jumping off the soapbox, so
Yeah.
I dig it. So
Okay.
I feel like it's fine. If it wanted to be bigger or taller or accented even, I
Okay.
would be on board. But I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like it in the
You
center
do.
just because I'm a symmetrical kind of girl and that just,
Yeah.
to me, it's more
True.
pleasing to the eye to
I
have
get
it.
My mind wants
Somewhat
everything to
similar.
line up also.
Yeah.
May I get your name again?
Yes, Nikki Thompson.
Okay. Are you a Y or an I?
I am an I. I'm
Okay,
a
got it.
1K or 2, Niki.
Okay, 1K. Got it.
okay. Everything else with the recommendations, are you good with?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody else here to speak in favor? Is there anybody else here to speak against the project? Okay, so we'll open it for discussion. Any more discussion?
Can we go back to the slide where it shows the front elevation?
Sorry.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, so Liz, before you made your comment, I was of the thought that I didn't love the window situation because I just felt like it looked unbalanced. Recognizing there's precedent and in the neighborhood, I think it makes sense, but that's the only thing that kind of gives me pause. But from a professional standpoint, if you think that it looks within reason, I'm happy to.
I might tend to be more open-minded, especially on
Yeah.
infill projects.
Yeah.
Like if it was if we're trying to preserve the historic nature of a structure, then totally different ballgame. But even if you wanted to celebrate that window and do something, I mean, yes, bring it up, whatever you want to do.
Okay. But I also
Nikki has a
kind of,
good track record of,
I also kind of agree with Liz in that part of what makes downtown is things aren't matchy-matchy. I mean, there is a character to our neighborhood, but I know my house is full of weirdness. And I think that like having, as she said, like the house across the street, I think it would be different if we were in Hendricks Village, right, where everything was exactly the same. But I don't think that's even the character of even Robinson Avenue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Has it always been an empty lot?
I don't know the history. I think there was a house maybe next door that got knocked down.
And it wasn't that long ago, like it's
Yeah.
been in the past 5 years
Because
since
I've
we've been
lived
here.
right around the corner
Okay.
for almost 20 years. Yeah.
But the lot, the one I'm building on, has not had a home.
No, I don't think so.
There was a
because-
house in between it,
Yeah.
and it was I think it was a for sale by owner lot for the longest time. And they were
There
trying to
was
sell it.
the one that's up on the corner of Mill, the lot behind it was huge. And so it was subdivided
yeah.
and then the second house built.
That's right.
So those lots, were divided up at that time, at that window was found.
So we need to add the new window, the 20 by 36 window
Yeah. I
to
have
the
it.
east. Oh, you have it, okay. And then, and you've got the change of the driveway.
I have changes. Hardy siding underneath the porch, 20 by 36 window by the front door, brick on the front. Driveway will be on the other side when she applies for a permit.
Brick all the way around.
Oh, thank you. Brick on the front, so, but it needs to be brick all the way around. Thank you. The entire house.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to accept with the changes.
I so motion to approve with the changes made.
Okay.
As recommended.
I'll second it.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right,
Thank
there you go. Think you know the drill after this. Okay, 802 Front Street, commercial remodel. Tara is going to discuss this. Liz has to step out.
Yes.
I have to step out. Jenny, are you okay taking over?
I am. Let me,
And it leaves 5 for a quorum, so we're good. All right.
thank you.
Do we have to say while we're leaving? Do we have to put that on record?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't.
You ready, Tara? You already announced it. Do I need to do that?
All right, so this application is for 802 Front Street. It is a downtown commercial remodel. I would like to clarify that there is a mistake on the staff report. I put the applicant as the owner, and the owner is in fact Spats Properties. And they will need they will have to show authorization for building permits and site development review. So this is actually 802 and 804 Front Street. It is Central Business District in the old Conway Design Overlay Urban Zone. The applicant proposes to remodel 2 existing buildings located at 802 and 804 Front Street. 802 Front Street is at the corner of Front and Main. The street facades of 802 are characterized by windows, glass doors, and garage doors. The applicant will continue to utilize the storefront system and overhead door along Front and Main, but will be replacing the solid garage doors with windows. 804 Front Street will be altered through the addition of windows and an alteration of the awning. The metal slip cover on 804 Front Street will be removed, exposing the existing brick, which along with 802 Front Street will be painted so there is a uniform facade. This is just utilizing existing structures, so there's no change to the footprint or the height. There's existing off-street parking as well as on-street parking. There are no specifics about waste disposal in this application, so if roll carts are going to continue to be utilized, that's fine. If a dumpster enclosure is utilized, it will need to in some way match the primary structure, and then that will also be looked at in site development review if necessary. There is definitely an appropriate amount of articulation as there are no unarticulated walls. The applicant is proposing additional windows other than awnings. All other building material is existing, including the painted brick, which will be repainted. The lighting will need to be downcast. All frontages have existing sidewalks, and then if they're damaged, they'll be required to repair them. There are 2 proposed projecting signs. The windows on 804 Front Street, there is going to be an addition of some windows there, and they go all the way down to the ground level rather than being 3 feet. So that's just something I'm pointing out, but it doesn't necessarily mean it. The regulations don't specify that is not that is prohibited, just not necessarily encouraged. However, if you look, I did support it when you consider that we have all of those windows at 802 Front Street. So the recommendation is for approval, and the conditions are that applicable building permits are obtained with appropriate licensure. The sidewalks along Front Street and Main Street shall remain in place and shall be replaced, repaired if damaged during construction. 85% of all first-story glazing shall be transparent. All signage shall comply with Old Conway Overlay District guidelines and regulations. So all signage is permitted separately. Lighting shall be downward. Any utility equipment shall be placed in a manner to minimize its visibility from the street and screened adequately. And prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant will need to complete site development review per Article 10 of the Conway Zoning Code. And that's just a separate planning process for commercial structures and a change in a commercial use that we have after historic district review. That's it.
Anyone here to speak?
Can't remember, do we do our address on this one?
Yes.
Joanna Napoltz, 1109 Main Street. And I think she gave a great overview of what all we're doing. The main goal is to make this building look like it used to, one single building instead of 2 separate facades. So the majority of that work will be kind of on the old jewelry store side, is opening that glass all the way back up, kind of making the glass storefronts match, and then creating some awnings. Any questions?
Joanna, can you kind of speak to why the windows are not 3 feet above ground level and kind of what the thought process
for sure.
was?
Mostly just to match the other ones that
Okay.
were put in before.
Okay.
And so we're just trying to create that same
Continuation.
rhythm.
Okay.
And the storefront in place of the garage doors on the back, that was just because those garage doors are failing. They're rotting out. And then the other kind of wood infill is the same way. So we thought just continue on with glass and glazing instead of introducing a new material.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone else to speak in favor?
No, the owners of the Property B&Bs at the Stobies fundraiser tonight.
I'm headed
So,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
It's easy. Anyone to speak against? Okay, any discussion?
I'm excited about this. I had no idea that the storefront under that false front was contiguous.
It was, and the brick is actually still underneath all
That's
that metal
beautiful.
panel as well.
Really?
We were very excited to find that.
I move to accept as proposed by the staff.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes.
I'll let them know.
Thank you.
Need to go in the kitchen or?
One went outside.
Oh, okay.
You may get Emily.
Yeah, I just have to knock on the door.
All right, do I just put the conflict of interest? I'm just putting that, noting that after the who abstained,
Yeah.
why they abstained.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
fine.
All right, thank you.
Would you say the time again? You picked better. I forgot I was unloading something and it was really loud.
Okay, so next up, we have 1157 Parkway Street. Is anybody here? Okay, we'll go ahead and start with Tara, just want to make sure.
Okay. Yes, this is 1157 Parkway Street. It is a commercial addition in the overlay transition district. The applicant is proposing to demolish an existing accessory storage building and construct an addition to an existing pre-engineered metal building, the purpose of which is to enclose materials and equipment currently stored in the yard. As mentioned, this is the transition zone, and so the regulations here are different from suburban and urban in that it is up to, it gets very discretionary, especially in terms of whether urban requirements should or should not be applied, or suburban requirements should or should not. So it's very case specific. The proposed addition is located at the rear of the primary structure and is 5 feet from the rear property line. So, and in the transition zone, rear setback shall be no less than 5 feet, so that conforms. The proposed structure is 30 feet tall. As a 3-story structure is permitted in the transition zone, and one may expect that to be between 30 and 40 feet. That is, staff has found that to be appropriate. The proposal conforms to 80% or less lot coverage. In terms of orientation, this is an addition to the rear. The site is currently served by a gravel driveway. The applicant proposes to pave approximately the first quarter of the property as a driveway. There are no sidewalks in front of this structure. However, Bethlehem House right there has sidewalks, so there is the beginning of a network. And staff recommends that the applicant construct a sidewalk, as well as the green space, so 5 feet sidewalk, 5 feet of green space. But it can follow the way in which Bethlehem House has started the network, which is from back of curb. Metal for fences, railings, and walls. Let's see. Whoops. Oh, pardon me. Also with trees and landscaping. According to transition and specifically transition zone regulations, there should be 1 tree for every 30 feet of frontage. So this street frontage would necessitate 2 understory trees that would need to be out of the right of way. Fences, railings, and walls. The applicant is proposing, currently there's security fencing with, I believe, barbed wire, and it's chain link. The applicant is proposing metal ornamental fencing along the street frontage and along the side yards for about 60 feet, and then it goes back into security fencing. Staff, I've recommended brick corner posts just to continue to help kind of obscure the metal industrial aspect of it. That's just a recommendation. There's no loading dock will be visible from pedestrian view. It is slightly larger than the other buildings in the area. So the scale somewhat differs. So sheet metal sheathing is prohibited in the urban zone. However, the transition zone does not specify material type. And let's see, for facade articulation, the applicant is proposing to add like brick skirting. This addition will protrude from the rear with the brick, it is an industrial building with the loading door, but articulation is being attempted through this brick, as well as just the design of having it protrude. Let's see. Pardon me. And then, let's see. And then landscaping also can help with kind of the site articulation, if not necessarily the facade itself. And I have recommended additional landscaping, especially in the rear, which abuts a residential zone and is also a requirement under site development review, which is that process I had brought up for the previous. It's an additional planning process that occurs after historic design review. And lighting must conform to the requirement that the use of blinking or strobe lights is prohibited. So no blinking, moving strobe lights. Staff recommends approval of the proposed proposed project with the following conditions. Applicable permits are obtained from the building department with appropriate licensure. Prior to certificate of completion, 2 understory trees shall be planted along Parkway Street outside of the right-of-way. Staff recommends that they be planted near the property corners. There shall be at least 1 canopy tree every 30 feet, 1 decorative tree every 15 feet, or 1 shrub every 6 feet along the rear property line. Barbed wire or security fencing may not be visible from a public vantage point. Where that is not feasible for security reasons, additional landscaping is required to help screen the fence. Prior to issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, the applicant shall provide for staff review and approval an updated site plan and elevation showing additional landscaping along Parkway, the fence line, and the rear property line, a 5-foot sidewalk, and a minimum 5-foot green space along Parkway Street, fencing details with brick corner posts. And number 4, prior to site development review, Article 10 of the Conway zoning code, the property shall be replatted.
Wow. Okay. So who's here to speak in favor? If you want to come up.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. Brandon Rule, 5140 Barn Owl Cove.
Okay.
So yeah, like Tara explained, it's just simply an industrial building that we're hoping to add on to the back of. This is the Frialdenhoven's warehouse, their office obviously over there on Front Street. They don't employ any office space or anything out of this building. It's merely just to keep customers' mechanical units while they're staging them for projects. So as you can see in the aerial, there's quite a bit of stuff going on out in the yard, out in the gravel. So they're hoping to get all of that inside if they can. So what we're proposing is just adding onto the back of this existing pre-engineered metal building to try to give them some more storage capacity. And that's simply it.
Okay. Do you have any questions on the recommendation?
I have a couple. So the first one being, let's see, where was it? The 2 understory trees planted along Parkway outside of the right-of-way. So within the property line or outside of the property line?
Within the property line.
Okay, not a problem. We're cool with that. Let's see. The other question on the sidewalks in the green space, so that is all within the railroad right-of-way. And so we had some concerns about that. We had discussed that on the front end, like who would be responsible for that long-term? Would the city take care of it? You know, who would the Pacific Railroad or whoever is maintaining the railroad right-of-way, whose responsibility that would be?
Sorry, say that again. You said the.
Can you go back to the site plan? Or if you have.
So I know for city, the city, like the property owner does maintain the green space. I think like technically speaking, every once in a while, the city could come out and like do a chop work on it, but it's usually it benefits the property owner, right, to maintain that. I don't know the regulations for a railroad easement.
Yeah.
So the
Or
railroad.
the railroad
owns
right away, excuse me.
The property all the way
To our property
To
line.
the
Yeah, where
curb?
she's showing the edge of that
even the
grade.
street.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Huh.
so all of that gravel, our curb cut, where the fire hydrant is at, all of that is within the railroad.
Because
easement.
Bethlehem House is not that old, and I'm wondering how that happened.
I'm sure they're approaching it the same way, yeah, and they have, so there's 5 feet of sidewalk right up against the back of curb. But who knows if that was poured when the city did that, or if they were responsible for that. So that was the Freehold and Hoven's main concern, is like, we're paying for a sidewalk that's not on our property.
Well, I mean, all of the sidewalks in town are in the right of way. So whenever like somebody comes in with one of these applications, it's part of the process that they install the sidewalk, or, if a case can be made, pay the in lieu fees. And I think those do apply in this situation where you could request those, whether that would be beneficial or not. But so it's always the property owner's burden
Gotcha.
to construct them. Yeah.
So the trees, having them plant trees would be from here back, the 2 canopy trees? Is that what you're saying? Because you can't plant them here.
Well, that is new proposed concrete, so we could leave out some of it to employ a tree, like in the corners if we needed to.
So you're saying that all of this is new concrete, this grade?
Yeah.
That solid grade, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Like I did a drive-by today, and I was like, where are they gonna put 2 trees? It's all gravel and concrete.
Yeah.
That was the one question I had on.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
I mean, you can do tree wells and like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we
And that's
have
what we'll have to
downtown.
do, extract the
Yeah.
gravel and put in the tree well for each one, yeah.
So tell me how the rest of this is gonna be used, like vehicles are gonna hang out and park?
No, they will only be there during unloading and picking up. So, yeah, no staffers stay there, no trucks get parked there. It'll be just cleaned up and just be, the back portion just be gravel.
So where's the security sliding fence happen in relation to the site plan? I'm sorry, I think I see.
It's right there on the edge of that, yeah. So that property line is drawn at the fencing.
yeah.
Oh,
Where it
okay.
starts. Yeah, so right here is the metal ornamental,
Mhm.
and then about right here is where the security.
Yes.
That's why
I
I was thinking of like like trees just to kind of obstruct it, right? To get the eyes to, with the understanding security fencing in a situation like this is
Absolutely.
necessary, but then maybe the eye can be caught by trees, landscaping.
Okay, so that was my second question, was that the chain link's going away?
Up to, this is how I interpret it, so hopefully I
that's
was
exactly
right.
Yes,
Is that here it'll continue to be the chain link.
that's
with-
right.
Ornamental around the.
Yeah, but what's visible from the street would be the
Yeah.
ornamental.
That's right.
Security. And break your corner posts. You
Yes,
okay with
ma'am.
that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we adding that?
We thought that looked
It's
nice.
on there.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good.
And that was just corner posts you're asking? You're not
Yeah.
every 6 or 8 feet or something?
No, just the corner post.
Did you have any other questions?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, is there anybody else here to speak in favor of the project? Is there anybody here to speak against the project? So I want to open it up for comments throughout.
I do want to say, I think there are times when we're called on to be visionaries about what our city can look like in the urban zone. And, I've always hoped that somewhere along that railroad track, you might see people sitting at a cafe table, lifting their wine glass as the train goes by, right? So I hesitate to put something there that's just going to be, just totally industrial, totally warehouse, But I think if you'll do the landscaping and the fencing, we're coming a step further down the road than where we currently are.
I think it's a dramatic improvement from a.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially if some of what is currently stored outdoors could then be moved indoors. I think that's great from a future development standpoint.
Do we want to add the option, do we want to require the sidewalk, or do we not add the option for the in lieu?
I'd like to see it, just thinking about what that area could look
Yeah.
like in the long run. We don't want to tie ourselves to not having sidewalk along there,
Okay, so leave it, so there's nothing to change.
Yeah.
So really, yeah, there's nothing to change. It was just clarifications, really.
That's right.
And you had some landscaping on one of your drawings there. so
Yeah,
the
we
bo-
were
down
doing
the
some
bottom.
around
I
the
like
front
it,
of the building,
you know,
just to try
I
to
like
dress
it.
it up a little bit with minimal investment, since this is
Mhm.
not technically a revenue creating use of this building. So we're trying to do what we can to dress it up and
Yeah,
make everybody happy.
Sure. I think this is the most excited I've been for a medal.
I motion that we accept this, that the commission accept this draft recommendation.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you. So, yes, please.
I'll see what
Okay,
that's all.
that'd be helpful. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to,
Yeah, please.
I do want to mention in the appendix that staff recently approved administratively a project on Markham Street. So per the Markham Street specific plan guidelines, projects are generally approved administratively unless they deviate significantly from the requirements. And so this is the construction of a 4-unit quiet office building on Markham and Willow Street. And it will be brick and it follows the articulation and the facades. We'll be doing a little bit more green space right there in the front as well as a sidewalk. And I'm happy to send out the COA. It's also, but I do want to point out that right now it's in site development review. So the final project has not been approved. But if anything changes in site development review, it'll have to be reviewed again by staff.
Okay. Thank you. Do we want to talk about the bylaw? Did anybody have a chance to read?
Not at all.
I
And
did
maybe
not.
you guys talked about it in January and I was not here.
No, it was sent out in January. We only did training in January,
Okay.
so. All right, so I just need a motion to table that from March, but I think we do need to add it to our agenda for March and get it taken care of. So.
So you said you need a motion. I move that we table the bylaw discussion of Article 2 until the March meeting.
Okay. All right,
Okay. And you'll send it out again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Other than that, I think that's it.
I do have one question,
Sure.
and this is probably for Tara.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming on the commission standards, does this have to be modified at the council level? No.
Only Article 1. Article 2 is within your purview.
Right, but
Well,
these are the standards
No,
that are on the website from
no, the commission
2010.
standards.
yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Even if, say, it was moving something from bold text to regular text, can we?
I don't think formatting would have to go through council.
No, not for
Okay. Well, I will follow up via
Yeah,
email.
if you want to go ahead and annotate on a
Yes,
PDF or in a Word
yes.
document, anything that you want to see changed, and then we can discuss whether that's something that falls
Okay.
under Article 1 or Article 2 bylaws and
Okay.
something that will change there, or if it's something that needs
I
to go
had a
back to
few edits
council.
on this, but
Yeah.
I was curious on what the
Look at you being
procedure
a
was.
freshman.
Well, fresh meat, you know.
Teacher's
But that was
pet.
it.
Yeah.
It's just personal preference, to be honest.
Yeah, just go ahead and send them and then.
Okay, perfect.
Do y'all have anything else to discuss? All right, want a motion to adjourn?
I do. I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?